Who here knows what J20 stands for? What does J20 stand for? January 20th. Cool. June 20th. So I especially, for the folks watching this on YouTube, you know, I especially want to reach out to you about what's going on January 20th. 15 days away. It's going to be one of the most important political events in modern history. The inauguration of probably, you know, the worst president ever in the U.S. history, Donald Trump. Not to say the others were even, any better, but 15 days away, Donald Trump will be inaugurated. And for me, I kind of see this as the day that the brashest and most real face of U.S. empire reveals itself, right? This is the epitome. Donald Trump is the epitome of U.S. capitalism, racism, sexism, imperialism. You can go on and on. So this is when the U.S. imperialism in its raw form, you know, comes to the front and becomes the face of this empire. And, you know, we know what Trump is planning to do. You know, he's going to continue all of the wars in the Middle East, in Latin America and Africa, imperialist wars, so that the U.S. can dominate the globe. He's even talked about implementing a registry of Muslims entering the country. Can you believe that? Like, it's horrible. And, you know, he wants to increase U.S. military spending bases around the world. He wants to build the country's nuclear weapons capabilities. Just the other day, he was, you know, trying to go tit for tat with DPRK, Democratic People's Republic of Korea, and trying to intimidate, you know, the revolutionary Korean government, and saying that he wants to boost up nuclear capabilities of the U.S. He wants to, and this is probably one of his most famous, you know, fascist policies that he wants to implement. He wants to deport millions of undocumented families, the U.S., hardworking people, many of whom have fled dangerous countries, like my own country of Honduras, you know. A lot of Central American families, Latin American, and not just Latin American, but all immigrants in the U.S. He wants to separate families, break them up. He wants to, and I think this is something that hasn't gotten enough attention, but it should. He wants to remove environmental regulations that protect the environment, that protect the planet. You know, with Trump as president, he wants to, the little, very minimal regulations that we have that actually protect the environment, he wants to scrap them, and going back, you know, to an era that, you know, is not sustainable. He wants business to dominate the environment and not the reverse. So that's very dangerous. And last but not least, he wants to boost racist police repression against blacks, Latinos, immigrants, and other people of color domestically. So all in all, he's, you know, Donald Trump, we all know, is really bad for the working class here in the U.S. and everywhere else around the world. So, you know, I think that being said, Inauguration Day is also going to be a day when the most oppressed of the U.S. empire are going to be able to stand up and really show their force. This is going to be a day when all of these people we're talking about, right? Low-wage workers, students with debt, immigrants, women, indigenous people, blacks, Asians, Latinos, Muslims, LGBTQ community, everyone, you know, all the people who Trump is against will be at the inauguration protesting his inauguration, and will actually come out united to take a stand and to say that, you know, we're not going to let him divide us. We're not going to let him try to step all over us. And this is really a show of force for the resistance against Trump. And, you know, I will say this about J20. And again, for those watching this online, J20, January 20th, Inauguration Day. There's actions taking place mainly in D.C., but there's actions taking place all around the country. I live in Los Angeles right now. I'll tell you a little bit about what's going on in L.A. in a second. But I will say this, right? We do know we're all against Trump. We're all against the Republican parties, but we have to say we're also against the Democrats too, because they're just the other face of the empire. So we can't let them off the hook that easy, right? So that day, although we will primarily be targeting Trump and his racism and all of the things that he plans to implement, we also have to raise the banner and the slogan to say that, you know, we're done with the two capitalist parties, we're done with the Democrats, we're done with the Republicans. You know, it's like Pepsi and Coke, they're both still soda, they're both so bad for you, right? So we're done with both faces of evil. And I really do think that, you know, just looking statistically at the growing interest in third parties, you know, this election has gotten more attention for Workers' World Party, Green Party than any other in the history of elections. And I think that's a very positive sign, because it shows that, you know, all of the people that this empire has oppressed for centuries are really coming together and recognizing their own objective need to break away from these two dominant Wall Street parties that will do us no good and just divide us. So, you know, J20 overall is a day of unity. It's a day of force and resistance, but it's also a day of unity for people who may not have worked together as much to really come together and to join hands together and to stand up to the U.S. empire. And again, another point, aside from also combating the Democrats, is also the fact that, you know, it isn't just about particular politicians or particular parties. It's about the whole system of capitalism, imperialism, racism. And the second we understand that Trump is just, you know, a puppet in a broader systemic system that oppresses all of us, then we can continue to move forward and build a real revolutionary socialist party that has the best interests of everyone around the world. And it's our duty to show that, you know, to teach this to people and to show people that we're not, Hillary Clinton is not going to save us, you know, the Democrats are not going to save us. It's the people themselves, the immigrants, Black, LGBTQ, Latino, etc., that are going to be leading this fight. And so, you know, for everyone here, and especially those watching this on YouTube, online, I'd like to invite everyone to participate in J20, January 20th, in any city where you are. This is a global day of action. I really do want to emphasize that. If you're not in DC, don't feel left out. You can participate anywhere in the world. So I'll just quickly list, as I mentioned, there's an action taking place in LA where I live on January 20th. It starts at 11 a.m. And it's on the corner of Olympic Boulevard and Broadway in downtown LA. And Workers' World Party will be there, International Action Center, Unión del Barrio will be there, Bayan, USA will be there, the FMLN will be there. All of the progressive groups in Los Angeles are going to be coalescing that day to have a demonstration in Los Angeles to show Trump, you know, that we're not backing down. And I want to just quickly list some of the cities where there are actions taking place. As we mentioned, DC and LA, New York, of course, Rochester, Oakland, St. Petersburg, Florida, Atlanta, Savannah, Georgia, Chicago, Illinois, New Orleans, Boston, Baltimore, Ann Arbor, Michigan, Detroit, I have a little trouble pronouncing this one, Port Huron, Charlotte, Durham, Raleigh, Buffalo, Cleveland, Portland, Philly, Huntington. So as you can see, it's gonna be crazy that day. It's gonna be lit. So it's gonna be all across the country, Jersey, you know, all across the country. Like, if you're not there that day, you're gonna feel like you missed out, because that's gonna be a day in history. Like I said, that's gonna be a day that is gonna go down in the history books as really like the birth of a new movement that really stands up and fights back against racist capitalist imperialism. And, you know, I also want to mention that if your city wasn't listed on there, you can organize your own local day of resistance. If you're in, like, you know, Montana, or if you're like the only communist in like Trump land in Montana or something, you can still organize a day of resistance action. And the way to do that is to send an email to j20global@gmail.com. I'll repeat that again. It's j20global@gmail.com. And that's if you want to organize your own day of action against Trump on January 20th. And finally, I also want to mention, this isn't just a national issue. As we know, capitalism, imperialism, and Trump leading those systems now, it affects everyone around the globe. You know, everyone in the world has something at stake to lose with Trump being president. Whether it's China or our sisters and brothers in China who are being unfairly targeted by Trump, or DPRK or Syria, anywhere else around the world. We have a common interest in standing up to Trump and showing Trump that we're not going to tolerate him country to country. And so I do really want to emphasize also for, I know we have a lot of comrades in other countries who follow our work as Workers' World Party, and I do want to encourage you all to also plan a day of resistance in your country. If there's a nearby U.S. embassy, a consulate, a mission, just show up, even if it's 1 or 2 people, even some with signs saying, stop Trump, defeat Trump. That would be really appreciated because it does show our global class solidarity, and it makes us stronger. For people in the U.S., for undocumented immigrants to see other people in other countries standing alongside them in solidarity, it would really mean a lot to them. So that would be great, especially. And lastly, I just want to say, for a complete list of actions, you can go to workers.org/J20. There's complete information there. I think the other website is J20resist.org. Oh, sorry. So, yeah. So J20resist.org, I guess, would be a more efficient way. And, let's make Inauguration Day a day of global mass resistance against war, racism, capitalism, sexism, and everything that this country stands for. This is our day. Let's make it not about Trump. Obviously, we're going to be targeting Trump, but this is going to be our day as a global, multinational working class to really stand up, show our force, and to show what we're about. We're ready to fight, and also we're not gonna be tricked or fooled into voting for Hillary or voting for the lesser of 2 evils or anything like that. So this is going to be our day, and let's stand with everyone in solidarity with everyone across the globe who are under threat by Trump, and really show him and the entire system that we're not playing games. We're going to fight back and we're going to stand up. So thank you all.